Hello Wolfpack, CPI is in about 36 hours, and we've gone into that quite extensively in previous videos. Essentially CPI, the market is predicting that CPI is going to come in at 8.1%, it's currently at 8.5%, so they're predicting a drop in CPI. And that, in my opinion, has led to this jump in price action. I mean, we've seen pumps in price action when CPI has dropped in the past. This is not a unique thing. We saw it in June. In fact, the reason we bottomed out here at 17.5k is because CPI dropped, or CPI was just dropped, sorry, and we started to see oil prices go down, which means inflation was going to go down, and we saw a massive pump. So we're pumping again, and the reason we're doing that is because people are expecting CPI to come in lower. So inflation does genuinely have a direct effect on the market, but we've spoken about that so much in the past that we'll get into it tomorrow just before CPI drops, just as a refresher. But today we're going to stay away from it because I don't want to repeat my same point 15 times. But essentially, yes, CPI 36 hours, major event, and that's leading to the volatility right now. And so what is this volatility? What's happening within this volatility? Well, we can see we're at tough resistance for Bitcoin, okay? We've come up and we're at the bottom of the bear flag formation. So we had this bear flag back here from June until late August. We broke it to the downside, come back up, and now we're retesting it from the downside. We've been unable to break through it right now. We're at the top of the Bollinger Bands, which means we're overbought, and we're at the top of stochastic RSI, which means we're overbought again. And if we remove both of those things, right, and then if we actually zoom in to the hourly chart, for example, on Binance, we can see that we've actually seen a fake out above this kind of shorter term bear flag formation. Shorter term ascending channel formation. I've actually deleted the bear flag here, but this is within the bear flag, right? So we've just broken a little bit back into it, and we're kind of just testing it for resistance still. It's still kind of a resistance support flip, but we broke above briefly, and we got rejected very sharply, came back down. We've got bearish divergence, and we've got a bearish descending volume while rising on the price action on the volume as well. So not really too much going for Bitcoin right now in terms of bullish technical analysis, right? I mean, quite literally all that's happened is this. We've come back up to the bottom of the bear flag. We've stuffed around for a bit around there, confused a few people. We've trapped a few longs in that recent pump to the upside, but ultimately we're still at the bottom of the bear flag, right? We're still underneath. We're still testing it for resistance, and it's still a bearish consolidation pattern. So I wouldn't consider this technical analysis. I wouldn't consider this TA bullish right now on the long term. I wouldn't consider, well, maybe the long term's a bit debatable, but I wouldn't consider this in the short term bullish at all. And why do I say the long term's debatable? Well, the reason for that is new. And if you asked me yesterday, I would have said it's bearish, but right now, what we've actually done on Bitcoin, and this is unique, right? This is a new thing. We've actually come and we've closed the weekly candle back above the 11-year pink trend line. That's a major thing. Right, and that honestly deserves a video in itself, but since there's so much to talk about on Bitcoin, I'm not going to dedicate a video to it. I'm just going to briefly get through it. This trend line's been existed from 2011 through to 2015, through to 2020, through to 2022. We dropped it, we lost it, right? And we dropped down like 10, 15%, and now we've come back up and we've broken above it again, right? This isn't a small thing. This is a major thing. Now, the problem with it is this, and that looks like a double bottom, doesn't it? If you zoom out, and this is ultimately what we kind of said. We said we're going to see a double bottom at 17.5k. Now, we didn't quite get down to 17.5k, and that's the interesting thing. We didn't quite get there yet, and there's no reason to believe at this point that we won't get there, right? But there are very pressing matters we need to address, because very soon, if we go a little bit higher, then there's reason to believe we won't get there, and we'll get into that in a second. But essentially, this looks like a double bottom, and what we have is consolidation or compression on the Bollinger Bands, which means a bigger move is coming soon. We haven't actually seen the start of the move yet, so if that moves to the upside, let's see what happens. That can make a lot of sense, but we do have to wait for these events to start playing out. So broken above that again. So that puts a lot of doubt in the longer term, because you guys know my opinion on Bitcoin. It's been this for a while. I'm expecting on Bitcoin that we at least double bottom at 17.5k. I mean, that's something I've been very vocal about. At least to 17.5k. Now, this recent drop went down to like 18.6. We didn't quite get there, right? And that's confusing. We don't like seeing that happen, because that throws off our entire 4-year cycle. Now, what we want to see, right? I know people are very itchy for Bitcoin to go up. But what we actually want to see, if you want to maintain the predictability in this market in the long term, what we want to see happen is a drop back down to 17.5k, a retest, bottom out anytime between now and early December, and then we go up. That's what you want to see, right? Now, whether that happens or not is a different question. It's getting more and more confusing to answer by the day. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say this is simple price action. This is by no means simple. This is a very confusing time to be in the market. When I looked at this morning, this weekly candle back above the macro uptrending line, honestly, it threw me off, because everything I expected is kind of being tossed up now. Now it's being put into the question. I think this, is to be expected to a certain extent when a major event such as CPI happens. You do see irrationalities in the market when CPI is coming up. Maybe this is an irrationality, maybe not. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But one thing we can be sure of is that this is the critical chart. The 3-day chart really is the critical chart because, again, something I've been very vocal about is the fact that Bitcoin needs to break this downtrending yellow line on the 3-day chart, right? And why do I say the 3-day chart? Well, because this line on the RSI reflects it on the 3-day chart. So it is a 3-day chart resistance. Bitcoin needs to close a 3-day candle, okay? Above this downtrending yellow line. That is very important. A 3-day candle above this downtrending line. If it does that, I would say it is very likely that the bottom is in for Bitcoin, right? I would change my view. I'd say, okay, my predictions are invalidated. If this line breaks on the 3-day chart, very important, the bottom is in for Bitcoin. That's what I'd say, right? Most likely the bottom is in for Bitcoin. Okay, that is the trend reversal point. If that happens, we should be seeing a significant pump to the upside. Okay, that's just for TA. That's what it says. Now, again, reflecting that is the 3-day RSI. And the 3-day RSI is doing a very similar thing. If the 3-day RSI breaks to the upside, it's generally speaking going to lead to a break of the price to the upside. So it's the same scenario. If we break this line, we should see a pump that would confirm the bottom being in, right? Because think about it, right? Think about it for a second. If we break this line, what's going to happen? Are we going to go sideways? If that happens, that's very unlikely. If we break this line, which is a line stemming from November 2021, almost 1 year of resistance, we pump, okay? Yeah, we pump and we take back critical levels, such as the 200-week SMA, okay, which is very close to us right now, and it's loading up right now. I don't know why it's not coming up. It's because we're on the Binance chart. Wait, let me get it up on a different chart. So, for example, here we go, Bitstamp. So this is the same line, it's just a different chart, okay? So if we break that line, what do? We take back something like the 200-week SMA, which is very close to that line. What do we do again? We take back something like the bull market support band, which is very close to that line. These are critical things that need to be taken on Bitcoin in order to confirm the bottom. And breaking that line would be the first step back to taking them. So yes, I think that if we break this line on the 3-day chart, which is incredibly close to the current price, and it could very well happen very soon, right? We break out. But until that point, we still have to remain macro bearish because nothing's happened yet. When it happens, that's when you change the prediction. It hasn't happened yet. And it very well could not happen yet, right? Because CPI could come in tomorrow and CPI 36 hours could be bearish. And then we drop further down. And honestly, that's what we would if we had to guess, CPI is going to come in bullish, but our prediction is bearish. So we have to predict the bearish scenario to a certain extent. It's like, this is, I suppose there's no other way to say it really. It's like this line, so long as we're below this line, we are bearish. So long as we're above that line, we are bullish. And I think that's the best way to summarize it. I think the 36 hours time CPI is going to be dropping. It will give us clarity, right? If CPI is not coming in as low as they expect, okay, they're expecting 8.1%, even if it drops, even if it goes down to 8.3%, right? And it goes from 8.5 to 8.3 instead of 8.1. That's a drop, but it's not as much as they expect. We could see drops again. Don't consider the bear market over until the confirmation is there, because it's not over. Okay, and that's very simple. And I think that's something that needs to be made abundantly clear because I see people getting very bullish. Okay. And, it's interesting because just a few days ago, people were very bearish. And I warned people against that. I literally titled a video that said, don't get overly bearish. That was the title of my video. So to act like, I've been super, super, super bearish, it's not actually true. I caution people away from being bearish because I realized that, hey, even though I'm bearish, I'm thinking the bottom's going to be 17.5K. That's not very far away. So I'm not thinking, 9K Bitcoin, 8K Bitcoin. I think, I don't want to just completely invalidate those point of views because I think to a certain extent they are valid. But I think, people need to understand that the recession, yes, it will continue for a long time. Okay, it will continue. That's for sure. But the peak of the recession in terms of inflation still pumping is likely to be over. Okay, so that's very good for the markets because the markets, they don't act in accordance to the present, they act in accordance to what they think the future will be. And if they see the recession recovering, even though it's still terrible, even though people still have no money, right? If they see the end over the horizon, that's when they buy. Because if you're an investor, think about it for a second. If you're an investor, you're not investing based on what's happening in the present. You're not investing based on what's happening today. You're investing based on what's going to happen in 6 months from now. Okay, so that whole mindset makes sense. And people say, well, oh, they don't have money to invest anymore because, the cost of living and everything. Well, actually, the average household wage, I know in Australia at least, has increased by like 50% since 2020. So, yeah, we're in a recession. Yeah, the prices of everything has gone up, but the savings of every household has gone up dramatically as well. So they do have the excess cash. They can actually invest that cash. And, I'm assuming the companies do the same thing. I mean, corporations made a truckload of cash during COVID. Okay, so, let's not act like no one has any money here. It's like, yeah, the cost of living is going up, but people have money. They have capital on the side. There's a reason why the market dropped. The market dropped. People sold into cash. What are they doing with that cash? They're waiting to buy again. Okay, they're not going to spend all that money on petrol. So let's stay grounded here. Let's stay logical. 36 hours. Got to watch this line on the 3-day chart. 3-day candle above that looks pretty good. Until that happens, doesn't look pretty good. Okay, simple as that, guys. Thanks for watching. Cheers. If you go to my YouTube channel homepage and click on the join button, you can see the rewards that VIP members gain access to. They get 4 trading setups per week, prioritized reply to comments by myself, trading psychology, a lecture, so a 2-hour lecture on trading psychology, and then exclusive Telegram group access where we can discuss the charts and discuss the active trades from the exclusive trading setup. So if you're interested in that, that's 40 AUD a month, which works out to be, as of September, around 28 USD a month, less than $1 a day. Go ahead and sign up to that. Moving forward further, we have the BitGet Exchange, and this is a very important one. The BitGet Exchange is something that I hold very closely as a trader. Why is that? Well, because I spent about a year looking for a good exchange. I got pretty much scammed on Binance last year during the bull market in 2021, and I found BitGet. They reached out to me, and then I reached out to them for the partnership. They got 0 trading fees on spot pairs, so it's free, entirely free for spot, and then on futures, they've got about 4 times less the fees than Binance, 4 times lower fees than Binance. And Binance is known to be the most popular exchange with the lowest fees. So this exchange is extremely cheap. On top of that, it's non-KYC, which holds true to the values of cryptocurrency, right? It's decentralized in your personal land. You don't need to link your identity to it if you don't want to. And it's globally available on that non-KYC format. So sign up to BitGet using my referral link in the description below. And in doing that, you'll gain access to over 4,000 USD in rewards by completing a few tasks. So again, use my referral link and sign up. It supports the channel and it supports your own trading endeavors. And then further, we've got the Crypto Academy, and this is if you want to learn how to trade. You want to learn how to do TA. You want to learn how to analyze a market. And that's where the Become a Trader 10-unit course comes in handy. Now, this course, and you can go to our website, you can read the abstract here, but this course was developed by myself and Megawatt Crypto. We made this course during the start of 2022 and released it in around May 2022. We analyzed basically dozens of different courses, technical analysis courses that are available on the market. We analyze what was wrong with them, we analyze what was right with them, and we analyze things we can put together. We've created this so that we've got slideshows, we've got videos, we've got worksheets, which is no other course has that, by the way, all of which is kind of aimed to kind of direct towards any kind of learning style, whether it be verbal, whether it be visual, whether it be practical, any kind of learner you are, you can, profit from this course in terms of knowledge and then move it into the market and actually profit financially. So if you're interested in this course, you can go to our website, read out the 10 units, whatever, read everything you want, and then chuck us an email here at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you with all the relevant information. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.